Beatrice Kohler was already in handcuffs when she shouted, "Activate Emergency Protocol 7. The officers didn't move. The crowd didn't blink. And Officer Daniels leaned toward me and whispered, "Sir, is she mentally okay?" I didn't even bother answering, because after everything she'd done, after the fines, the harassment, the fake rules, this moment felt like justice finally taking a breath. But if you want to know how my HOA president ended up screaming about imaginary laws in the passenger seat of my convertible, let me take you back. My name is Mitchell Brennan, 41, software developer, introvert by nature. I moved to Pinecrest Estates because the realtor promised a peaceful, community-focused environment. Turns out, community-focused meant obsessively patrolled by Beatrice, a woman who ran the HOA like she'd been crowned supreme leader of suburbia. And honestly, I tried to stay out of it for 3 whole years. But the day she tried to commandeer my car without permission, that was the breaking point. It was Thursday, perfect weather. Top down on my red convertible, sun warm, air cool. I was parked outside Crescent Brew Cafe, sipping a latte and letting classic rock do its work on my brain. Then something flickered at the edge of my vision. A flash of navy blue. Before I could even turn fully, a 52-year-old woman in heels literally vaulted over my passenger door, and landed in my leather seat like she was claiming a throne. "Drive me to the community center." Immediately, she barked, pointing forward like a general ordering an attack. My drink stopped halfway to my lips. My brain stopped halfway to understanding. Beatrice? You literally just jumped into my car." She adjusted her oversized sunglasses with 2 self-important taps. Then she snapped her fingers at me, twice, like I was supposed to flinch, like I was her chauffeur. "I have executive transit privileges," she said, as if that phrase had ever existed in any legal system on Earth. "I'm sorry, what privileges?" "Subsection 47B, she said smugly. "Emergency board meeting. 12 minutes. Unauthorized garden gnome placement. Go."
Ist daher.
5 seconds. Silent. Processing. And then I did something she absolutely did not expect. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911, right in front of her. Beatrice's eyes went wide. Her jaw dropped. And then, slowly, unbelievably, she snarled, "You wouldn't." "Oh, I absolutely would." 911, "What's your emergency?" "Yes, hi," I said calmly. "I'd like to report a trespassing and attempted vehicle theft. The suspect is sitting in my car and refusing to leave." Beatrice shrieked, "You cannot call the police on me. I am your HOA president." I turned slightly and described her to the operator. Height 5'2", navy blazer with HOA president, embroidered in gold thread. Looks like she's about to explode. Beatrice lunged for my phone. I raised it higher. She screamed something about mutiny against aesthetic order. I had never seen an adult have a toddler meltdown with such professional vocabulary. "Officers are on their way," the dispatcher confirmed. Beatrice froze. Then she whispered, "You're going to regret this." She said it with the confidence of a dictator who hadn't noticed her statues cracking around her. But I was done being afraid of someone whose most dangerous weapon was a clipboard and a bad attitude. 2 police cruisers arrived in under 8 minutes. Record time for our quiet area. Officer Daniels, mustache, 80s vibe, too much patience, approached my driver's side. "Sir, you reported someone trespassing in your vehicle?" I nodded. He walked around. "Ma'am, please exit the vehicle." Beatrice lifted her chin like royalty. "Officer, I have executive transit." "That's not a thing," he interrupted. She blanched. A small crowd began forming. Phones out. People whispering. Some smiling a little too widely. "Ma'am," Daniels repeated. "Exit the vehicle." Beatrice clicked her seatbelt, pulled it tight, and gripped the handle.
"No."
The officers exchanged a look. The kind parents give each other when a toddler locks themselves in the bathroom.
"Okay, Mom."
"You are under arrest for criminal trespassing and attempted unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. And that was when Beatrice had the meltdown of the century. She screamed about HOA sovereignty. She claimed she had jurisdiction over resident property. She tried to cite bylaws that didn't exist. She even demanded to call an emergency board meeting to override the arrest. The officers gently pulled her from the seat. She protested the whole way. She even tried to hand one officer her laminated HOA authority card, like it was a badge. She was placed in cuffs while our neighbors recorded everything. Within hours, the video hit the Pinecrest social page. Within minutes, it exploded. The title? HOA President Attempts Grand Theft Auto Loses. I watched the comments roll in. And that's when the truth surfaced. Everyone had been suffering. Not just me. Tom Morrison, fined for aggressive lawn maintenance because his grass was too green. Sarah Kim, cited for unauthorized squirrel feeding. The Garcia family, punished for planting pink roses instead of red ones. The Hendersons, fined for leaving Christmas lights up until January 2nd. Beatrice wasn't protecting property values. She was running a suburban dictatorship. And finally, people were ready to fight back. The emergency HOA meeting she had been racing to still happened, just without her. Vice President Reynolds, a timid accountant who had never raised his voice above a whisper, opened the session with shaking hands. First item on the agenda, he said, the immediate suspension of President Beatrice Kohler pending criminal investigation. The vote was unanimous. Even the board members she'd controlled. For the first time in years, the room breathed. I was asked to attend a special hearing the next week. So I brought my folder. All of it. Every absurd violation she'd ever issued. The automotive flamboyance citation. The top-down convertible hazard notice. The nocturnal luminosity excess complaint. Yes, she measured my porch light at midnight. Then came the doorbell footage. Her crouched in my yard at 6 a.m., measuring my grass with a ruler. Like a caffeinated goblin. The board was horrified, and then furious, because the biggest revelation came from the auditor. Emergency Protocol 7 didn't exist. Neither did subsection 47B. Her executive transit privileges? Also fake. Beatrice had been making up rules, inventing authority, fabricating citations, and threatening anyone who questioned her. But what came next overshadowed everything. The HOA's financial report, and the discovery that she had been funneling funds. For years. Spectrometers, meters, gadgets, fines she pocketed. A private investigator she hired using HOA money to track violations. That's why she always knew who left their trash cans out, who didn't mow on time, who had unapproved decorative gnomes. She wasn't observant. She was spying. When this went to criminal court, the jury took less than 2 hours. Guilty. On trespassing. On attempted vehicle theft. On misappropriation of funds.
Ont une autorise de surveillance.
The judge stared at her over his glasses and said, in 30 years, this is the most ridiculous abuse of HOA authority I've ever seen. 6 months jail time suspended. 2 years probation. $25,000 restitution to the HOA. $5,000 to me for harassment. Permanent Hoa Bang. Mandatory leadership and boundaries classes. Her empire shattered. First, she lost her real estate job. They didn't want an ethical risk in the office. Then her license was suspended. Savings drained. Luxury car sold. House nearly foreclosed. And the final slap? The new HOA board sent her a violation. For leaving her garbage cans out too long. A rule she herself had created. She paid it quietly, because now she was just another resident.
No throne.
No clipboard. No laminated badge of fake authority. Just Beatrice. 6 months later, I saw her at Redwood Market. She was working the register, wearing a light blue uniform and a plastic name tag. She didn't see me at first. Her eyes were dull. Her confidence gone. The spark of control that once ruled our neighborhood, reduced to a faint flicker. When she finally looked up, Her expression shifted through a whole spectrum. Anger, shame, resignation. She scanned my items mechanically, one beep after another. Her jaw clenched, but her voice came out soft. Did you find everything you needed today? I nodded, paid, walked away. As I reached the door, I heard her supervisor, a kid who couldn't have been older than 20, say, "Beatrice, remember to smile more at customers. Okay?" There was a pause, a long one, then a defeated, "Yes, of course." Hit me then, the woman who once ruled over us, who measured our lawns, fined our flowers, and bossed us around with fake laws, now got bossed around for minimum wage, by someone younger than her own rules. And for the first time since moving in, Pinecrest Estates felt peaceful again. And I finally found everything I needed: justice, a quiet neighborhood, and a HOA president who would never, ever snap her fingers at me again.